Well, another incredible Hollywood blockbuster. Enjoy the show. Once again, this comes from Gulliver's Travels. Dave and Max Fleischer, 1939. It comes out as kind of a reaction to Disney's full-length Snow White movie. Paramount was under some pressure to produce something of a similar nature, and this is what they did. So what I'm going to do is give you another cut from this feature-length cartoon movie in the year 1939, and I'm going to provide some commentary. I'm not sure you've been enjoying these, but I certainly have, so let's get right into it here. Okay, now notice how the theme is war. And I'm recording this on what's called Memorial Day, year 2021. Memorial Day. Everyone's supposed to go into mourning because of all the so-called deaths of people that have died in phony wars. Well, remember, war is a hoax, and the incredible numbers of deaths are hoaxes too. Now, did some people die of disease? Yes. Did some people die because of accidents? Yes. Did some people die because the people were evil enough to create a situation where somebody could die using their controlled demolition? Yes. So the theme is war. And it's always about imposing war on the sovereign. Now remember, Gulliver is a sovereign. So over reigns, so over the reins. And they are going to take away the reins from him and be in control. That's why they tied him up, etc. Now they're going to explore his objects, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but let's go on with the feature-length cartoon. Okay, now the watch. Numbers are symbolic of curses and spells. Numbers and words go together to create curses and spells put on you and put on me. In some of my other videos on my other channels, like War Backwards is Raw, and one of my other channels, I will show you courthouses here in America. And almost inevitably, every courthouse has on top of it a public clock. And there are usually 3 stages in the courthouse. And that's intentional. Now, why is there a public clock? And usually it's 4-directional. So no matter where you are, you can see the public clock coming from the courthouse. Why is that? Because they want you to know what time it is always? No. That's the simple explanation for the simpleton. The true explanation? Because the numbers create the spells. They have a number in a code system, a statute system, for anything that they can find you guilty of and bring you into the courthouse and make you pay. Stupid stuff, like you have to get a permit to update your house. You better have the permit displayed if you want to add a room onto your house. Why? All you want to do is make your house look nice, and you have to get a permit. Well, guess what? If you don't get a permit, they'll find some statute or some code that you're in violation. You pay the money. So all of these things are about money. Alright? So they discovered the watch on Gulliver, and let's watch what happens with the watch. They get trapped in the codes and the statutes. Go to a library. And in that library, in the state in which you live in, probably there will be a section called reference, and you can look up the statutes and the codes in your particular state or commonwealth. What are those? Those are just continuations of nonsense to try to entrap anyone on anything and extort money from anybody for any reason. That's what they are. Where I was living in Virginia, and the company building where I was working, we were told about the code. That you had to have an outside ladder up to your roof if you had air conditioning units on your roof. And if you didn't provide an outside ladder hooked onto the building, you were in violation of a code. And it could cost you $10,000 to be in violation of a code. It would cost you $10,000 to put the ladder up. To put a stupid ladder up. But that's the kind of nonsense they produce. If you don't have this, we could fine you. Okay, now they're bringing down the weapons of war, and we're going to find out here in just a minute that the war theme is constantly around. And this is an accident, but it doesn't matter, because they're all about war. All. Now, if you analyze the situation of what we call America, about 92% of its history, it has been at war. Now, you can stretch it a little bit. It doesn't have to be a major world war, but the theme of war has emerged about 92% in the history of America. Now, if you also do an analysis of the world itself, you will find almost the identical statistic that the whole world itself has been at war about 92% of its existence. In other words, war fuels the system. And by the way, you can find website on that. I'm sorry, I don't have the website for you. I'm sorry, I don't edit a whole lot and add things and make it fancy and spend 10 hours to make a 10-minute video. I don't do that. If you can just listen and you're capable of it, you can benefit. And you can do the extra homework. These can be extra homework assignments. Just look it up. You'll see what I just told you is basically true to the best of our abilities. The entire existence around you has been at war about 92% of the time. Now remember, war is a hoax and war is phony. But what that means is about 92% of the time, the hoax has been around you in some form or some fashion. Okay, something interesting is going to happen here in a minute, and it's going to be in reference to biology and fake medicine and fake medical hoaxes, but it's going to be slipped in here really fast. And it's interesting, the year's 1939, so they're going to show you some medical hoaxing even right now. Here it comes. Run to your home. Get scared. Don't go out. You could die. Well, we could change that sign now, couldn't we? It's 1939, people. And they're putting it in a cartoon for children, youth, anybody that's watching this. Run home, slam the door, don't come out, and put a sign on your door. Okay, now what is being illustrated here is that the sovereign is in charge of the system, not the system in charge of the sovereign. Okay? The sovereign, Gulliver, is in charge of the system, not the system, the little man of Lilliput, in charge of Gulliver, the sovereign. Now, unfortunately, everything's been reversed. We live in fear and trembling of the system. I experience this when I'm out on highway driving, and my speed gets a little out of control, and I'm in fear. The red light flashing is going to pull me over and nail my butt and give me a ticket, of which I better pay or I'll lose my driver's license. I'll lose my registration. I won't be driving anymore because I don't pay a stupid fine. So the reverse has happened. The system is in charge of the sovereign. But in this little cartoon feature, the Fleischers are trying to tell us that ultimately the sovereign is in charge of the system. Now notice also too, this is the first time in this cartoon movie that Gulliver will speak in Lollipop. I think it's even actually the first time in the movie itself he speaks at all. Okay? But notice his voice is gentle. His voice is not aggressive. He's not like a wild dog barking at these people. Why? Because he knows who he is. He's not about war. He's not about aggression. He's not about extortion. He's just about peace.
A wife and kids, millions of kids.
Hold on there, mate. Nobody's going to hurt you.
Help! Put me down! Help! Help!
Drop that! Drop that!
Well, another one. Who are you?
Who, me? What? I'm king around here. Guards! Guards! To the turret! Archers! Surround the giant! Surround the giant! Guards!
So notice that immediately the king of Lilliput brings up war. And Gulliver has said the nicest, gentlest voice, because it's all about war.
Well,
See, no harm intended. In fact, he just returns him very gently. There's no indication that Gulliver is a man of war. And yet, war will be inflicted upon him.
You will pay for this.
What an interesting comment. You will pay for this. Because ultimately that's what they want. They want you to pay. Pay. Basically speaking, it's money. Just to get you to pay money for some stupid reason. So they can live way high above anybody. Quietly and secretively. And that's what they do, by the way. They pretend like, oh, the budget didn't allow for a whole lot this year. The truth of the matter, they have more money than you've ever seen. So, Gulliver's still about peace. The king's determined to bring some type of a war theme on him.
Ready!
Aim, fire!
Okay, now, let's just say for a moment this is an internal war against one sovereign. Now that could be you, that could be me, alright? Could be any of us, alright? But there's going to be an external war, and those are hoaxes. That's your American Revolutionary War. That's your Civil War. That's your World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Gulf War, you name the war. And it's under an 80-year war cycle. It's my first video. Go back to War Backwards is Raw channel. Go to the very first video I ever did. Simple video. Didn't think anybody would give a hoot about it. But I'm telling you what, it was probably the most profound video I ever did. Because the war is based on a cycle. And you can see the simple cycle with the 80-year war cycle. Now it gets a little more complex as time goes on, and I can explain that to you. Mostly it's because the population grows. So the war hoaxing gets a little more complex. But it's very simple at first. It's an 80-year war cycle. So here comes the external war. Okay, now looky there. Looky there. Looky there. You'd think maybe I just quack, quack, quack like a duck. Now why do the little pins, which are supposed to be arrows, spell out forever? Why? Because of what I told you. War is perpetual. It doesn't stop. It was around before you were born. It occurred when you were a child. It occurred when you were a young man, young lady. And it's going to occur after you die and after I die, because they love perpetual war. So now these are external wars with other nations. You know, those evil nations. And that is mythology too. Nations of the earth don't want to kill other people. It's not inherent in a true sovereign to want to kill anybody for any reason. So there's the attacking nation firing against the Lilliputians, and of course now we're into sort of a two-stage war, not only against Gulliver but against, quote, their enemies.
How do you like that? Want some more? All right, let it go!
Okay, he's kind of dramatizing the insane dictator that loves to kill. That would be your Hitler. All right? But he's just a comedian. Okay, war creates chaos. They love chaos because, guess what? Order out of chaos.
Stop, you swine! Get back to your post! Get back there and fight! We'll breakfast go on up!
Okay, now there's the true sovereign. Can see through the war hoaxing. I hope you can see through the war hoaxing. If you can't, you need to go back and do some more studying up on war hoaxing. I have a channel called Dave J. Said So. Dave J. Said So. There's some information there. I do a lot on my other channel, War Backwards is Raw, R-A. There's a few good folks out there that are exposing war. But look, Gulliver's not troubled, because he knows ultimately it's just a bunch of stupid baloney.
Afraid of anything.
Wake up, sovereign.
Everyone gone. This is no way to treat a harmless visitor.
A harmless visitor. That's how he describes himself. And the true sovereign is that, a harmless visitor on this earth. That's all. But the system wants to create you into a monster giant who is warlike and aggressive. And this is completely false. If you got to the end of the video, I really want to thank you. But I'm just going to thank you, no matter what. I like making them, and they're not complex. They don't have a lot of fancy editing and stuff. But I hope you hang in there with me, do my best to give you my best. Praise be unto God. Blessings to you, my friend, in Christ Jesus. End of video.